The moment she snatched my phone out of my hand, time seemed to freeze in the quiet living room. My heart slammed against my ribs like it was trying to escape. The glowing screen was still open to the message I had been typing, my fingers frozen mid-sentence just seconds before. Her eyes dropped to the screen, then slowly lifted to mine. There was no anger in them, only confusion, and something much worse. Hurt. She tilted her head slightly and asked in a soft, trembling voice why I was hiding it from her. In that moment, the air between us felt heavier than any argument we had ever had, and I realized that the secret I had been guarding for weeks was about to break everything. Before we continue, take a moment to support the channel. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs a little hope today, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps these stories alive. My name is Michael Turner, and the woman standing in front of me that night was my wife, Hannah Turner. We lived in a small but warm house in a quiet neighborhood in Portland, Oregon. Our life had never been perfect, but it had always been full of laughter, late-night talks, and dreams about the future. Hannah was the kind of person who remembered the birthdays of strangers and left encouraging notes for waiters at restaurants. I, on the other hand, had always been the quiet one, the type who carried worries alone and tried to fix problems silently. 3 months before that night, everything in my life had quietly begun to fall apart. The construction company I had worked for nearly a decade suddenly shut down after losing a major contract. One afternoon I walked into the office as an employee and walked out an hour later unemployed. I still remember the cold wind hitting my face in the parking lot and the strange numbness in my chest. I had bills to pay, a mortgage, and a wife who believed I was the most dependable man in the world. I couldn't bring myself to tell her the truth. So every morning, I still left the house wearing my work boots and jacket, kissing Hannah goodbye as she stood at the kitchen counter with her coffee. I drove around the city pretending to go to job sites while secretly applying for jobs from the front seat of my truck. Some days I sat in a public library. Other days I parked near the river and stared at the water while sending out resumes that seemed to disappear into silence. Weeks passed like that. The pressure built slowly, like a storm cloud that refuses to break. Hannah began noticing small things. I was quieter. I checked my phone constantly, refreshing email inboxes, hoping for responses that rarely came. At night, I stared at the ceiling long after she fell asleep beside me. The truth was, the message I had been typing that evening, the one she saw, was another rejection email I was responding to. It was my 30-second job application. But to Hannah, it must have looked like something else entirely. When she took my phone and saw the words on the screen, her face changed in a way I will never forget. The worry in her eyes turned into something fragile and fearful, like she had just discovered a crack in the foundation of our marriage. For weeks she had watched me hide my phone, step outside to answer emails, and avoid questions about work. In her mind, the story had slowly written itself. She thought I was talking to someone else. And in that moment, I understood how deeply my silence had hurt her. I remember the heaviness in my chest as I sat down on the couch and ran a hand through my hair. The secret I had been protecting wasn't protecting anything at all. It had been quietly destroying the trust between us. So I told her everything. I told her about losing my job. About sitting alone in parking lots refreshing job listings. About the fear of disappointing her. I admitted that I thought hiding the truth would spare her worry, but instead it had built a wall between us. The room stayed silent for a long time. Hannah stood there holding my phone, the screen slowly dimming in her hand. When she finally sat beside me, tears were already rolling down her cheeks. But they weren't the angry tears I had expected. They were tears of relief. Because in her heart, the truth was still painful, but it was far less terrifying than the story she had been imagining. She leaned her head against my shoulder and took a long breath. For the first time in weeks, the tension that had filled the house seemed to fade. That night we talked for hours. We spread the bills across the kitchen table. We made plans together. Hannah even laughed softly at one point and said something that stuck with me forever: that marriage was never meant to be a solo mission. The following weeks weren't easy. There were interviews that led nowhere, mornings filled with uncertainty, and days when the weight of responsibility still felt overwhelming. But something had changed. I wasn't carrying it alone anymore. Hannah started helping me search for openings. She encouraged me when rejection emails came in. Sometimes she simply sat beside me on the couch, reminding me that failure didn't erase the years of hard work I had already given to the world. And slowly, things began to turn. 2 months later, I received a call from a contractor in Seattle who had seen my application weeks earlier. He needed someone experienced to help manage a new project. It wasn't just a job offer. It felt like a door opening after months in the dark. The day I told Hannah, she hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe, laughing and crying at the same time in the middle of our kitchen. Looking back now, I realized that the moment she grabbed my phone wasn't the moment our relationship almost broke. It was the moment it became stronger. Secrets can grow quietly in the dark, but honesty, even painful honesty, has a way of letting light back into a relationship. Before we reach the end, I want to ask you something. If this story has touched your heart even a little, please like the video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories like this. And here's a special request for you. Before the ending, leave a comment below and tell us, have you ever kept a secret because you thought it would protect someone you love? Today, whenever I see Hannah sitting on the couch scrolling through her phone, I sometimes remember that night in our living room. The night she took my phone and asked the quiet question that forced me to stop hiding. And strangely enough, it wasn't the moment everything fell apart. It was the moment everything finally started to heal. If this story moved you or reminded you of someone you love, please engage with the video, like, comment, and share your thoughts below. Your support and stories mean more than you know, and they help keep these moments of hope alive for others who might need them today.